Kia ora everyone, about a month ago I made a short video thanking this small community that supports this channel because thanks to all of the viewers I was able to afford one of the mini LEGO sets I consider to be a personal white whale. This here is LEGO set 75827, the Ghostbusters Firehouse Headquarters, which released in 2016, the last year that I was absent from LEGO purchases. I got back into collecting LEGO around 2017, everything that released after the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit line from 2012, 2013, and before the LEGO Batman movie releases, I basically skipped, and I've made it my mission to try and collect everything that I missed. And my very quick story here is that I actually did nearly buy this set in December of 2018, but LEGO.com had the set listed as sold out. I waited all month and I waited until January of 2019 until LEGO themselves updated the listing and claiming it as retired, so I think I missed this by possibly as little as a week. When this set was available, it retailed for 600 NZD, and Brickset now says that the current selling prices are around $950 for a sealed box or around $880 for used condition. What you are seeing on screen right now though is the average results for the NZ aftermarket. We can see one with a buy now price of almost $1,200, which is around 730 USD, or one with a buy now price of $1,800, which is around $1,100 USD. And neither of those prices include shipping, which for me could be anywhere between 15 to maybe 50 bucks. Once this channel received monetization, I thought that the best use of support would be to try and find some older white whale sets, and this was at the top of my list. Now cut to some months later, around the time Barrett was releasing in stores, and I found this auction online in which I paid for less than half the retail price, and the set even includes the Ecto 1 LEGO Ideas set. Now there is a catch here, the set is missing a very small handful of pieces, around 3 parts to be exact. Unfortunately those are stickered parts as well. Then again, I could pay more than double the price I did pay for this and getting those extra 3 pieces and in a sealed condition, or I can get the set as is and try to get those parts later. It's gonna cost significantly less than say $1,000 in order to try and get those pieces that I'm missing. I'm very excited to have this and to cover this on the channel. I've been dying to have this for years now. The set overview here is a LEGO model of the Firehouse Hook and Ladder Company 8 building, the real life firehouse based in New York, which was used for all of the exterior shots of the Ghostbusters movies. The set here features 10 minifigures, all of which are exclusive, and traditionally the set contained 4,634 pieces. Again, I'm missing a very small handful though. This here completes my LEGO Ghostbusters collection, which I am thrilled about. Let's just get straight into the review. There are timestamps down below for all those interested who want to jump around. Now the average build time that I read online was reported at being around 7 to 8 hours, which is about the amount of time it would take to watch through the, at the time, only 3 movies released. And I think that's also close to the runtime of the excellent video game. There will be more discussion on that game in this video. My set was sent to me in this plastic bin and it required some very important and careful planning. So my first night spent with this set was separating every part from the car away from the bulk lot, and then I began sorting every piece into color, frequently having to rearrange the bins every time I needed a very specific small piece. Now my total time here spent sorting and building and organizing was around 30 hours. How many movies were put on in the background while I built? Well, I'm glad you asked. The entirety of the Nice Guys was spent sorting every single piece into colors and separating the car from the Firehouse build, so 2 hours and a bit. Starting the Firehouse build now, I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Back to the Future, Barbie, Pitch Perfect, and the old spoof film Pity I Don't Have Pitch Perfect 2, Inglourious Bastards, Pitch Perfect 2, and at this point in time I was well into the build, so now was when I decided to put on Ghostbusters, Oceans 11 through to 13, Pitch Perfect 3, and then a Ghostbusters double feature of Ghostbusters 2 and ending with Ghostbusters 2016, Hellboy as well, and finally ending the build with Superman, because a couple of images may or may not have made their way onto the internet recently, and I was very excited. Essentially, a watch of movies I have seen many times before and acted as very pleasant background noise for the duration of this exhausting experience. And there's a whole lot of LEGO here to look at, so it's been a pretty terrific few weeks. Size wise, it's taller than I thought it would be actually. The building here stands at 36 centimeters high, 25 centimeters wide, and 38 centimeters deep. It's pretty big on a shelf, but the shaping of the rectangle design does mean it's also a very nice Tetris block to place on your shelf display. At the front entrance here, like all modular designs, the tiles out front act as a nice little decorative display area to help sell the idea that this set here is for the big leagues. There's a few studs here for standing those minifigures, but it's mostly just a couple of smooth tiles. It's fun too, putting together this grey solid concrete-like base with the stone pieces and contrasting to the red bricks that are used throughout the rest of the build, a nice change in colours while still keeping the same parts and design all throughout. Those who like your details to be perfect may have a hard time watching this, sorry. Many tiles are used throughout the window-like areas, and mine are a little off when you really look into them, just don't focus too much on them. One of the parts I thought was really cool about the windows was this section here at the top, which instead uses these plain white window panes to simulate blinds being drawn here. A very simple fire escape build here on the side, which is just a few ladder pieces and then also used for the balcony areas as well. Droid hands and sticks are used for the railings and some simple connections. There are 2 doors here as well that lead us into the firehouse on these top floors. One of the first issues I have here is actually with these connections. Because the design is modular in style, the floors don't have that full proper connection. I'm not sure if it's possibly because my set is secondhand though. You can hear that sound of old bricks as I try to bring it all together. This is what LEGO from the 2000s sounds like. The set here isn't even 10 years old yet. It's close though. Now taking a look at the front of the building here, this has some pretty cool details about it. The first thing to mention though, this is where the missing details are in the stickers department. I'm missing the signs of the building and the Ghostbusters logo, which are pretty vital things to be missing. But actually, I'm not too bothered by this though. If you look at the real life building, it doesn't actually feature the Ghostbusters logo or anything, so in a way, it's kind of fitting that these details are omitted here. But yes, I will be working on replacing those in the future. I love the door design here, where the doors are big enough for fire trucks to enter and leave, but the massive garage door also features a regular door that's been built into the model. We have some yellow cones here at the front, and some stickered prints of tiles for some added decoration. It's nice overall. Our little side build here starts with a street lamp, which I'm not a big fan of. It's pretty flimsy actually, it comes away very easily. It's a pretty loose connection here with the one stud and all. Part of the build I have to keep my eye out for, but I do like the way that the bendy wire here works. Next to that light is a trash can, another part I don't really love. I've never liked how these grill parts connect onto these types of bricks. It's very easy to off kilter. And moving on, this part is pretty similar design-wise to the side that we first looked at. We have a repeat in the bricks here and the window design, but we also have a cool reference down below. This here I believe is the mood slime featured in Ghostbusters 2, which is running down a river in the sewers under the city. Here we have some slime emerging from the underground. This wall here is the most clean cut of the build. There's no windows with blinds, no fire escape to be latched onto the sides either. It's just a plain wall here, which is pretty nice in comparison to the rest of the building. One of the features here is that all of these tiles are placed on these 1x1 bricks with stud attachments. The set does showcase that you can remove any of these and insert these translucent poles that feature ghosts attached onto them. Now you can have a display of ghosts flying around outside. The same idea is featured on the other sides of the build as well. And for me personally, my tiles, I like to place them down below to look as though it's like debris. More coverage on the ghosts later, but this is what the gang looks like all flying throughout the city on display. I like to have the generic blue and pink ones on the outside and slime sandwiched in between them both. Makes for a really neat looking display piece. And finally we take a look at the back of the build, and yes, this is very unfortunate. It's quite an ugly design here, and at face value, I want to say it's possible to move all of this interior design just forward by one stud and replace these bricks with grey and red parts to match the rest of the build, but I'm sure there is a reason why LEGO went with this decision. It's just amusing to me because the other walls for the interior are designed that way, by first layering the outside grey and red and then inserting these tan walls on the inside. It's interesting to see here why then they go with this option for this section. I suppose at the end of the day, you are putting this set up against a wall, so you won't be looking at this side, so maybe it shouldn't matter. Moving on up to the roof now, a very simple build and nothing too interesting here. The roof is the connector that holds all of those bottom floors in place. We have an air vent up here which also has a connector clip, and there's the same connector clips on the outside walls which connect to that ladder. We can now open this set up from these walls here and get a look at the inside design. There's a lot to cover here, and this is likely the most exciting part for people. Now, my love of the interior doesn't come from the movies, but actually from the video games, specifically the 2009 one, which is one of my favorite licensed tie-in video games. The attention to detail throughout the rookie's adventure is fantastic, and while that remaster that came out isn't much of a remaster besides upscaled graphics, if you like the movies like I do and you haven't played the game yet, it is well worth checking out. The game features a hub-like area where in between levels you get to explore the firehouse. So because this is the firehouse I'm most familiar with, and given how often I've explored that area, I love all of the key details here that the build uses, and for me, I was using the game's layout as my own personal reference. It differs from the game a wee bit, but still, most of the key things are still featured. In order to get the best look at each floor, I'm going to remove the floors from the build, and we'll take a look at them one by one. First, by removing that roof up top. You can hear that crunch noise, right? I'm amazed that this set is already in decade-old condition. A very quick top-down view of the top floor after removing that roof. This floor features the recreational area and the lab. In order to remove these floors as individual parts, we need to disconnect the fireman's pole, which is connected here at the top and at the bottom of the build. We can then remove each floor. The builds placed on the opening door are smaller individual rooms compared to the bigger ones there, which make for an interesting building experience. The floor that features the steps that reach the bottom, this is one whole piece and not built in the same modular-esque style. I believe this is the last thing that you build here before you get to the roof. We're now free to remove the entire floor and take a look at the one directly below. A quick top-down view of the floor after removing that recreational area and lab. This here is the living space, which features a kitchen, dining area, bedrooms, and bathroom. The same as before, removing the individual floors here to get a better look at the front entrance area. Our bottom floor here features the garage for the car, a workman's area with some tools, and the front reception. It goes without saying, this is also where you start the build. The first change here is the ghost containment unit. This here is usually located in the basement area in the movies and in the game, but LEGO can't exactly build a basement-like design with their sets, so instead they compromise here by putting it underneath the staircase. I really like this element though. You can open the unit here and insert one of your ghost traps, but I do have some issues with mine. That door piece just falls apart every time I try to open it. I need to hold it very tightly and very specifically, and I've seen others online have a very easy time with this, so I'm guessing it's the secondhand condition here that affects that feature for me. Bummer. Taking a look at the reception desk now, we have here Janine's desk and the back office, which is usually occupied by Venkman. We've got moving boxes laid all over the place because the team are just too lazy to properly move in, a bulletin board here with some flyers and prints of odd jobs to take up. I believe this is a jar of slime or ectoplasm maybe, and there's a radio on top of that shelf. Venkman's desk has a printed tile of the Time magazine on Ghostbusters, Supernatural Success Story. Janine's desk features a few interesting elements here, a computer playing Space Invaders, a work phone, looks like a lamp and a letter, and a chair for Janine as well. This entire section is also removable for your convenience. Located in front, we have an empty patch of space and some other details off to the sides there. We have, I think, a lamp and some more moving boxes and a tool bench. Directly above here we have a fire alarm with some lights, and then off to the sides we have some newspapers lying around and a license plate which has been left behind. The plate reads Ecto 1 and it's the exact same piece as featured on the LEGO Ideas Ecto 1 set. I'm going to show you what you're all waiting for now instead of at the end, and that's how the car can interact with the model. The answer is it can, kind of. I've actually had to move some stuff around already. You can see that the car can fit around halfway into the building before it ends up getting stuck on those desks. So if we move them away, it means that the car can come right back. Still, even with the extras all removed, the doors won't close with the car inside the building. You would have to remove the back desk as well. Now for my display, I'm feeling pretty okay with having the doors remaining open and the car being halfway in and out of the building. That design does work for me, honestly. Before moving on here, the final addition are the lockers, which feature the stickered names of Spengler, Stantz, and Venkman. Winston's locker was omitted from this build. Inside we just have their proton packs. They just simply sit inside. There's no connector to the build or anything. Reassembling the floors now, time to make our way upstairs. This here is the recreational area of the building, which features the bathroom, the bedroom, and the living space. Bathroom is pretty cool actually. We've got some builds of a toilet, a sink, and a shower area complete with slime overflowing. I always really like it when LEGO does tile work in sets like this. We have some studs for the figures as well to interact here, and the shower features a build of some shampoo and some soap, as well as a hot and cold tap. One thing I don't like about the bathroom though is that while the placement is actually pretty accurate in its location, the no wall separating the bathroom from bedroom is an odd one to me. A Ghostbuster can be using the toilet right next to another teammate while they sleep. This leads us to the bedrooms though, nice and easy. These are pretty decent inclusions, but the scale here in my eyes is pretty off. I think LEGO had to choose between whether or not they should accommodate 3 beds for the 3 original members, or less beds included that fit to a better scale. The beds are fine, but they're very small for the minifigures. Living space here features an arcade machine and a fireplace, I think. Interesting inclusion here, even more moving boxes located here too. The kitchen and dining area have a table with some chairs and some small appliances. We've got the haunted toaster build from Ghostbusters 2 and some more mood slime here on the table. These chairs I really don't like. Studs here are being used for the backs of the chairs and no studs for the figure to be sitting, so they're very easily pushed off the chair and it just doesn't really work very well for me, removing them for the sake of this review. The fridge is really cool. It opens up to reveal a frozen pizza. There's also the bottom container which features some cheese and some milk. The fridge can be removed from the stand here, and it looks like this on its own. It's 2 letterbox parts with some long smooth parts that connect them. Now the rest of the kitchen here is just a couple of shelves and then some added extras for food items. We've got some smaller containers and some cereal, looks like some cans, a coffee pot, another pizza here too. We can add on the stairway build here, which I did show earlier, but now we can take another look at the build. Simple design, it's just a staircase. These 2 rooms here feature the doors that are led out to the fire exits, and they connect onto the respective rooms. So now we can connect the final room to the build here, and this is where things change up a little. Our last floor here features the laboratory, equipment, and recreational space. First up though, we have a floor that leads to the fireman's pole, and here we have the door that leaves the lab area, and there's a fire extinguisher too. Our little room here I thought was a lab, but it's actually the dark room from Ghostbusters 2, and can I just say I'm very surprised with how much love Ghostbusters 2 was having in the set. We have a table and a magnifying glass and some little experiments laying around, even a Polaroid on fire. Final details here, and really cool to see, we've got some sticker designs of Vigo the Carpathian in some photos set against the wall. Some of them have been burnt. In the game, the painting can be found in the hub space, and it would have been really cool to have seen that here, but that game is no longer considered being connected to the movies anymore. Moving on to the recreational area now, first up we have a pool table, and this was really great to build. I can't recall if I've ever built a pool table in sets before that scale to minifigures, so that was really fun. We then have this wall with 2 stickered prints here, a map of New York, and a location sticker as well. This little area is pretty cool too. We have a dartboard with some darts thrown into the wall, and a scoreboard nearby with the initials that kind of confuse me. We've got the initials of M and P. It could represent Janine Melnitz and maybe Peter Venkman, but it seems strange to be the last name of one of them and the first name of the other. So now I'm starting to think it might be the set designers or something. We also have yet again more moving boxes with some lamps on them and a television screen of a terror dog from when they run the experiment on Lewis. The laboratory area comes complete with all sorts of fun equipment pieces. We've got some levers and some computer parts here. The table features the same Time magazine as before and a beaker of liquid. The shelf behind them features some jars of slime. We've also got a boombox up there. On the other shelf there we have a sextant and some more cool inclusions. The computer here shows the gang researching the Carpathian and a giant wall of electronics at the back. Again, more slime and jars on those moving boxes. And the last feature here is that pole that you've just got to try. Simply connects onto the Technic sections here at the top and at the bottom. You wind the piece up to the top and you're free to connect any of the figures and send them back down to that lower level. It's a really fun feature that works amazingly well. I'm really impressed with the method that LEGO chose to recreate this idea. I would have been satisfied enough with just the pole inclusion because minifigures can't slide down poles, so including a small handle clip and turning it into a play feature, great stuff. And sealing the place back up means placing the roof back on and reconnecting those ladders. If applied all correctly, these walls will move along with the roof pieces that cover the gigantic build of the firehouse. It's now time to take a look at the very interesting and cool minifigure inclusions. We have 10 exclusive figures here, all in my eyes desirable inclusions. The first Ghostbuster to look at here is Peter Venkman, played by Bill Murray in the film. The Ghostbusters have been translated into LEGO already under the Ideas line, so this was LEGO's time to make a few extra changes. Luckily for us, the figures did change from their original designs. All of the Ghostbusters here feature arm printing of patches and the team's logo. I love the elbow pads that they have here as well. The accessories for Venkman are the same as the Ideas one, a walkie-talkie and a ghost trap. However, the build for the traps are slightly different compared to the originals. The proton packs here are also built the exact same way, but I think there may be a single color difference in the clip or something. Build-wise though, it's the same thing. What makes Venkman unique here is the added style of slime. Removing that proton pack shows us the back detailing with some more slime and an alternate expression of a confused state of mind. Some may be disappointed that Venkman here does not appear in normal attire, but actually that exact figure that you want was released in the LEGO Dimension set where he doesn't feature any of that slime printing at all. This here is Venkman compared to the Ideas release where the face print is different, the arms lack all printing, and most importantly in my eyes that hairpiece is different and it looks significantly weaker to me in comparison to the Firehouse one. He's a great looking updated figure. The back torso print is is also different on these Firehouse figures. The Ideas guys all featured their names on the back. The one thing missing for me here are the black boots. The 2016 Ghostbusters line did feature the gang with black boots as dual molding, so it would have been really nice to have seen that here as well. And now we enter some pretty familiar territory. This here is Egon Spengler, played by Raymond, co-writer of Ghostbusters. Egon is my personal favorite member of the team, and the most notable differences for him compared to the Ideas one is the inclusion of the PKE meter. That's at least what I think this is. It's an interesting design, but many online seem to disagree with that. They made their own customs to make it a bit more screen accurate. I like the simplicity here though, and it's probably the best that LEGO could have possibly done with this kind of a scale. Removing the pack and showing the alternate expressions here, Egon features basically the exact same torso as Venkman, but without the slime and different initials. Ray and Winston also use the same torso as Egon, but again, different initials. Compared to the Ideas release, Egon is pretty much the exact same besides the torso printing. I think the expression's pretty bang on, and the hairpiece has been a successful hit since this release as well, being used in other lines for iconic TV and movie-based characters. Ray, unfortunately, is one of the least interesting figures here. He features the same prints as the Ideas variant and the same accessories as well. A new expression or a new hairpiece would have been nice here. Personally, I would have loved to have seen him with the goggles used at the Sedgwick Hotel. Dan Aykroyd here, the co-writer of Ghostbusters, likeness looks pretty good for that character, but really, I wanted to see something a bit more. Removing his pack here to show that torso detailing in full and the alternate expression of shock. Compared to the Ideas figure, like I said, the same figure except for the arm printing. What I wish we had here was instead maybe Ray with the marshmallow effect all over him. Having one of the Ghostbusters all gooed up with slime and one of them all gooed up with marshmallow would have made for some unique parts here. As for Winston, a very simple but effective upgrade. Ernie Hudson likeness here, looking pretty good. Like all of those other members, he features the exact same headpiece from the Ideas release, but Winston does have a newer at the time hairpiece. This hairpiece was initially introduced for Finn from the Force Awakens line, and it's been included in many sets since then. The hairpiece works really well for him, and it looks way better than the Ideas release to me. Removing that pack one last time to show the torso detailing and the alternate expression. This is Winston compared to that Ideas release, and it's a good way to show the change in trap design actually. Originally it was a grilled piece, and now it's a printed tile. Janine Melnitz is the team's receptionist, played by Annie Potts. She features really neat simple designs, but man, I wish this was the one based on Ghostbusters 2. That vibrant coloured outfit and hairstyle to match the animated look would have been such a great figure to have here. I like the torso printing here, which can be useful for customs outside the Ghostbusters line. The double-sided expression here features a concerned expression, like she's seen a ghost or something. Dana Barrett here was brand new for this set. I want to say it's the first Sigourney Weaver figure, and she's actually had a couple now since this release. Dana here is appearing in her End of the World outfit, which includes this nice Elaine hairpiece, very unique looking dress that she has as well. Double-sided expression of a possessed look with some evil eyes. She makes for a very specific but fitting figure. And Tully here is such a fun and totally unnecessary inclusion. I'm so glad to see him here in this set. He appears in this disheveled look with some grime and wear and tear on his shirt, and a very rugged look for his expression and hairpiece. This goofy expression looks like it would be very useful outside of this line. Double-sided expression of a possessed look to match Dana, so they make a good pairing couple. That's not all though, because Lewis also includes an extra headpiece which you can use to show him being tested on and trying out the gang's new machine. Another goofy expression with a chin strap and a very confused look. A very impressive minifigure. And so now we move on to the best inclusions of the set. Those are all of the ghosts. This here's the library ghost, the one that started it all. She features all purple colors with a couple of grey parts here as well, and she comes standing using these ghost legs piece to look as though she's floating. The library ghost also includes a bonus book as her accessory. You can swap the expressions around and give her an alternate hairpiece though to make her resemble the terrifying appearance that she forms. It's a very cool inclusion that we have here. This here is the cab driver ghost, more so a zombie driver. It's a cool inclusion, but definitely the most unnecessary. Taking a look online, it looks like there were quite a few bits of merchandise on this guy, so maybe it was part of a deal at the time or something in order to get the license. He does feature some amazing parts here, like that expression and the colors of his flesh tone. I think those are going to be very useful for zombies outside this line. But he doesn't come with a taxi, so he just kind of stands around. Personally, I wish this minifigure slot was instead used for Gozer or a Vigo instead. It just makes more sense to me that we would get a proper villain rather than this guy. This here is Slimer, originally known as Onion Head, also released under the LEGO Ideas barrier, where that figure appeared to be slightly different. That figure has a much more angrier expression, and it appears to be a different shade of green in comparison to this guy here. Slimer includes a hot dog as his accessory, and the special shaping of him makes him a very unique figure to have. He was one of the more exciting inclusions for me to have in the set, so I'm thrilled to finally have him for my collection. Finally, we have these two colored ghosts, one pink and one blue. These guys aren't actually based on anything specifically, but there's a few things that I think they kind of resemble. Ghostbusters Spirit Unleashed featured a handful of pink ghosts that could retroactively, I think, reference this one. As for the blue guy, there's quite a few picks there. Recently, we had the blue Muncher one from the new films. Pretty much all of the ghosts in the 2016 movie are blue during that end battle. I also found this toy from the animated series, the Pull Speed Ahead toy, which features a combo of a blue and pink looking ghost. Interesting. The ghosts here are just minifigure heads inside a shell, practically the same design as one another as well, but different printing. Instructions for the set come included in a massive booklet here. Opening this up, we have an interesting read about the Ghostbusters series, which helps to detail the movies, and it acts like an in-world explanation of things. The other side here features the minifigure inclusions, which we just covered in person. Turning the page over, we then have a small description on the base of operations and the firehouse in general. Then we get into the actual instructions. Nothing from the set designers, which is a big shame for a set like this. From that point on, it's your regular instruction manual, but we have this black coloring all throughout that makes it look like it's very fancy. A color change is all it takes to help make something feel a bit more premium price, premium product. The back of the instructions has the set all built up, followed by a good few pages of the inventory list. We then finish on the winning figure at the back. And hey, before I forget, years ago now, I actually bought some other toys online and the seller shipped them to me packaged inside the Firehouse box, so for a brief period of time there, I actually did have the packaging to this set. Now granted, it was all beat up, but I mentioned at the time that this felt like the world was playing a trick on me because I was still trying to get my hands on this set. That Instagram post there says that it was posted 122 weeks ago, so hey, who would have thought? As mentioned at the start of the video, my auction did include the Ecto 1 car, so lucky for me, I managed to get both of these sets in hands. However, unlucky for me, the Ideas car set is actually missing the Egon figure and his proton pack as well. Again though, lucky for me, I bought the set at release, so I actually do have the Egon figure to fit in with that crew. I was thinking that because I now have doubles of Stantz, Venkman, and Zeddemore, I could take some extra parts from other figures I have and make some much needed customs for new inclusions on my display. And there we have it. Ghostbusters is complete with their home, all variations of the gang too. There's criticisms with this set, sure, like many sets, but ultimately it is exactly what I was hoping for and everything I wanted it to be. I personally found the build to be an incredibly entertaining experience, especially once I started getting into the interior space. I do wish the car would fit into the garage space more easily without the need to move things around, and I'm very curious to see if anyone out there has fixed the design so to not have that ugly exposed colors at the back there. It's a great display piece. Now that I have all the figures laid out, it just looks perfect to me. Thank you all so much for the support over the years. Without the channel's current growth, I wouldn't have been able to afford this luxury item, so I owe it to all of you currently watching. If you enjoyed this video, liking and subscribing to this channel does help to support more videos like this one in the future. Ka kite on everyone, thank you very much for watching, I hope to see you all next time.